Hello. Today we are taking care of the horrible damage found behind the bandages of our Pale Bellied Jerr. First, we cut away the wrappings to expose the torn flesh beneath. Groovy. Reminds me of a circumcision gone wrong. Notice that the damage goes all the way around, indicating a breaking off of the headstock and its apparent faulty reattachment, perhaps an accident with the spricity. We shall extract the tuning machines, removing the screws from each machine first, and then taking them from the back of the headstock. There were multiple missing screws and a myriad of screw holes pockmarking the Jerr and adding insult to injury. Lastly, we push the bushings through so that no metal is left on the poor creature. Now that the gaping wound from a previously terrible repair has been revealed, we must cut away all of the dead and necrotic tissue around the edge of the wound to allow for a clean and healthy scar. There's no doubt about it, the poor man will be scarred. We have honed our scalpels to a micron's edge, so that it can slice through the wood, leaving behind clean lines instead of the jagged and torn appearance of the ancient damage before us. After we clean the wood as best as possible with incredibly sharp knives, we begin to use the wood filler to fill in the wood. I'm done with that accent. I can't keep it up, and honestly, it's just becoming kind of annoying to hear, so let's go on with this accent instead. Next, we need to stir up the wood filler so that it's all one homogeneous goo, and begin to fill in all the gaps that we cleaned up and exposed. We need to make sure that the area is completely filled in, and that we go ahead and shape it to the contours of the neck, and wipe away the excess and let it dry. We push as much wood filler in as it will hold into every nook and cranny, so that when we sand it completely smooth, no cracks or holes will remain. After we've sanded down the headstock and somewhat smoothed out the dried wood filler, we remove the nut with a solid knock from a wood block. This gives us access to the finish by the nut. And now we can sand the entire headstock consistently, front and back. We also sand down the neck in this process to improve playability and remove the sticky clear coat that was there. We use an orbital sander to remove all of the previous finish and stain and bring it all the way down to the beautiful mahogany underneath. We want to completely bare the wood and have a consistent appearance throughout. Some of the stain on this Jerr really penetrated the wood. The nut gets put back, and the tuning machines get sprayed down with WD-40 to get rid of the rust and just clean them in general. Next, we apply Danish oil to the wood, about 4 coats with a green scouring pad. It helps smooth out the wood and works the oil down into the grain. Then we begin reinstalling the tuning machines. Lining up the machines with masking tape is our straight edge. The previous screw holes were also filled in with the wood filler, and the screws have plenty of wood to grip into. We drilled some pilot holes and then went ahead and screwed the tuners into place, making sure to check the alignment with every screw. No one wants a crooked dangly bit. Here you can also see that the neck was sanded right up to the heel of the neck, and it was smoothed and transitioned from the Danish oil to the previous clear coat. We then push our bushings back in on the front. We were missing one bushing to begin with. None of my replacements fit, so the Jerr will be missing one until I find a proper replacement. The grain of the mahogany really stands out and moves as if it were alive. Movement just under the skin. And now for the missing saddle under the band-aid. After slowly and agonizingly ripping off the band-aid, some of the finish was removed by the bandage's adhesive. Not to worry, sometimes we can touch up these spots with a permanent marker. Although, we need to find a saddle from somewhere. The marker, yes. I can't find a saddle anywhere, and I may have to steal it from a less willing subject. Anywho, this marker is still just the worst. So, we're going to use spray lacquer sprayed into the cap and paint it over the spots that were damaged. It finishes matte black to match. Here we make sure we take our time using a very thin brush, getting the paint on every single spot that was messed up, either from previous damage or from the bandage's adhesive, so that the bridge has one consistent and uniform color. All that's left is to find a saddle from somewhere, or someone, of course. If it measures out, if it all works out.